Spirit portraits, photographing the supernatural in the Victorian era. In the shadowy corners of Victorian photography, a peculiar genre emerged that promised to reveal what the eye could not see: the spirits of the dead. What exactly is spirit portraiture? This phenomenon began in the 1860s when photographers claimed they could capture images of ghosts alongside living subjects. Unlike post-mortem photography, which documented the recently deceased, spirit photography purported to show the ethereal forms of those long departed. This practice spread rapidly across America, Britain, and Europe, captivating a grieving society. The story begins with William H. Mumler, a Boston jewelry engraver who stumbled upon this discovery in 1861. While experimenting with self-portraits, he noticed a ghostly figure appearing in his photographs. Mumler quickly pivoted to spirit photography, and his most famous client was none other than Mary Todd Lincoln, whose portrait allegedly showed the spectral presence of her assassinated husband, Abraham Lincoln. To understand why spirit photography flourished, we must examine the Victorian cultural landscape. The Civil War and other conflicts had left countless families mourning loved ones. Spiritualism offered comfort, providing a bridge between the living and the dead. The séance became a popular parlor activity, and photography, still a mysterious new technology, seemed to offer scientific proof of the afterlife. In Britain, Frederick Hudson became the nation's first spirit photographer in 1872. Working from his London studio, Hudson produced hundreds of spirit photographs, each one feeding the public's insatiable appetite for contact with the departed. But how were these ghostly images actually created? Photographers employed several techniques. Double exposure allowed them to layer multiple images on a single plate. Long exposure times meant that moving subjects would appear translucent. Some used pre-prepared glass plates with faint images already embedded. The clever manipulation of light, shadow, and developing chemicals could create all manner of spectral effects. Why did people believe? For many Victorians, photography represented cutting-edge science. If a camera could capture an image, surely that image must be real. The complexity of the photographic process was beyond most people's understanding, lending it an almost magical quality. Moreover, grief is a powerful force, and many desperately wanted to believe they could see their loved ones one more time. Of course, skeptics emerged. In 1869, William Mumler faced fraud charges in a sensational trial. Though he was acquitted due to lack of evidence, the trial exposed many of the techniques spirit photographers used. Throughout the 1870s and into the 1920s, investigators and magicians like Harry Houdini dedicated themselves to exposing fraudulent mediums and spirit photographers, revealing the tricks behind the supernatural claims. Today, spirit photography occupies a fascinating place in our cultural memory. Museums preserve these images as Victorian artifacts, windows into a world grappling with loss, faith, and new technology. Interestingly, the conversation has evolved into the digital age. We now discuss how algorithms can manipulate images, creating deepfakes and digital ghosts. The questions the Victorians asked, what is real? What can we trust in a photograph? Remain remarkably relevant. Spirit photography reminds us that at the intersection of technology, belief, and human longing, we find stories that transcend their era, speaking to timeless questions about mortality, memory, and the desire to hold on to those we've lost.